In this video, I'm going to share the 10 things that projectors need to know if they are going to find the right work for their energetic design. So if you are a projector who has been struggling to find enjoyable, sustainable work, a way to make a living that feels really good, that will create you enough income for you to be able to live the sort of life that you want to live, then this video is for you. Before I found human design, I had had so many different jobs and I had tried so many different ways to do this whole working thing. And I knew something wasn't working. It was February 2014 and I found myself lying on the couch in the middle of the day. I had just done a 3-hour shift, morning shift at a personal development event, and I was absolutely shattered. I was 32, but I felt like, honestly, I felt like I was 62. I was so tired, like in my bones. And I knew I had to do something differently, but I didn't even know where to start. And I'd done all the things that I'd been told I should do. I studied hard at school. I got good grades. I got a part-time job to save money. I went to university. I graduated as one of the top students in my whole degree. And I got a well-paid graduate position straight out of uni. But I was bored as batshit. And my adventures in trying to find more meaningful, enjoyable work begun. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Carolyn Southwell. I'm a 2/4 emotional projector, and I've been playing with human design for 10 years now. And this channel and all of my work is dedicated to helping you better understand yourself so you can make a life that really works. Now, let's get back to the story. Over 25 years, I had so many different jobs. It was ridiculous. I stopped counting. And what I discovered in that process is that I really love teaching. Probably no surprise as I teach here on YouTube. But I also loved working with children. However, I found it really exhausting. And it was also really frustrating because there were things that I could see I wanted to teach them, that they needed and wanted to learn. But within those roles and those structures, I couldn't teach those things. So I was in a bind. I'd found work I loved, but I didn't have enough energy to do it even part-time. And the systems that were in place didn't allow for the significant changes that I knew I really wanted to make. So it was a real turning point for me. I realized it wasn't as simple as that quote of like, just do what you love and the money will come. Somewhere in the middle of all of those many working roles, I realized that a job was just not going to give me the freedom that I craved. And so somewhere in that process, I got pulled into the world of network marketing, which I can tell you gave me so many, many business lessons. Now that is another story for another day because it would be far too big a tangent to go down, far too big a rabbit hole for this video. But if you do want to hear that story and the many, many lessons I learned from the good, bad, and ugly of that industry, then let me know in the comments, yeah? So after spending several years and way too much money in the process, I extricated myself from that world. Now, at this point, I'd already discovered human design and I'd realized that so much of what we were being taught to do to grow a successful business was like total mismatch for me as a projector. So I just knew that I had to do business differently. In truth, it's only been the last few years that I've started to really deeply understand what good work for a projector really looks like and sounds like and feels like. Because even though I've been playing with human design for a long time now, there have historically been very few really good projector role models to learn from. So much of what I've learned that I'm sharing in this video with you has come through the trial and error of taking the theory and trying it out in my life and applying and reflecting on what has worked and what hasn't. So this video is me sharing with you the things I wish somebody had really properly explained 10 years ago when I first found human design. Heck, these are the things I wish my parents and teachers knew to teach me when I was a child. And if you're a projector who has been struggling to make an enjoyable, sustainable living through work that works for you, then please know you are not alone in this difficulty. There are a lot of projectors who are experiencing the same challenges. And hopefully this video will give you some solid suggestions that you can start implementing straight away. That's my hope. So the very first thing we need to do is recognize that with more than 20% of the world's population being projectors, we're not all going to do the same thing. Not all of you are going to use human design as a teaching and coaching tool like I do. In fact, some of you aren't even going to identify as a teacher or coach at all. By the way, if you ever want to know how to access resources that I mentioned in a video, they're always going to be in the video description below me down here somewhere. So if you want to know what I offer beyond these YouTube videos, then click the show more down there and it'll reveal all of the things that are relevant to this video. So we've established that we're not all the same, but there are some specific principles that are true for all projectors that will help you find the right work for you. And I will go through those in a minute, but before we do that, I think we need to talk about, what do I mean by the word work? I'm using the word work to describe whatever it is that you do in the marketplace that creates value somehow. And that thing that you do, you get paid for it. So it's not voluntary. It's not being a parent where you're parenting your children for free. It's a thing that creates value and you get paid for it. So that could mean that you have a job, like you're an employee in an organization or a company. It could mean that you are a contractor where you work for a specific length of time on a specific project. Or it could mean that you run a business where you have clients or customers paying you directly or paying your company directly. There's no right or wrong. Having a business isn't better than having a job, it's just different. The key thing is that you create value in the form of a product or service, and someone pays you cash in exchange for creating or offering that. In an ideal world where everyone is living in alignment with their human design, then a projector's work will look quite different to the work being done by the other human design types. And while there are so many different versions of projectors, I've still never seen the same projector chart twice, as in the configurations are somewhere between mildly and wildly different. We do, as projectors, all have some key things in common that can point us towards the right work for us. So now let's dive into the 10 principles that will highlight the right kind of work for you as a projector. Please note, I haven't put these in order of importance. They're all important, but do keep your ears and eyes open for which one you most need to hear and apply right now to make the biggest difference to your search for the right work. Number 1. Whether you're employed and working for someone else or you are your own boss, the ideal projector role is most definitely less than full-time hours. No 8-hour day and no 40-hour work week. Less than full-time hours has to be the totally normal standard for you as a projector to make it sustainable. If you can fully mesh and make your own schedule for work, you'll probably want to work most days of the week, but not all, and for a small chunk most days at the time of day that suits you best. For example, I have found that I work best from about 2 hours after sunrise till about an hour after I have lunch. As a general rule, I don't work weekends, and I also don't work when I have my period. So they're built in sort of downtime for me. You might find that you work better on the evenings or in the afternoon. You've got to find your own rhythm, or you might have some constraints, like maybe you have school-age children and the only way you can do meaningful chunks of work is during school hours. So have a look at your flow and your life and see where you have the most energy and spark to create value in the marketplace. Number 2, if you do a role that has you being paid by the hour, then it's really important that your hourly rate is high enough to make up for the lower number of hours. So you need to be being paid basically a full-time wage for part-time hours. Now, that might seem like you're ripping people off, but the way that this works in the marketplace legitimately is you need to create more value for other people that they're happy to pay you a higher rate. Number 3, you're ideally doing a role you find super easy and super enjoyable, but still fulfilling. Now, if it's super easy and enjoyable, you'll get bored, right? So you needed to have those 3 parts: easy, enjoyable, and challenging enough that it is fulfilling. That trio is going to leave you feeling really nourished, and you're going to need that nourishment as a projector to still deal with the other parts of your life. Maybe working with challenging family members, maybe running a household, maybe caring for children. You'll need that nourishment. So look for roles that have that trio: easy, enjoyable, and fulfilling. Number 4, the right work for you as a projector is a role in which you get paid to guide other people, not to fix things or build things or make things or produce things. What you do is you get paid to guide other people how to do those things. As a general rule, it's good to avoid jobs that require a lot of physical labor. For example, it's not going to be very aligned for most projectors to work as a tradesperson where you have to do manual labor as part of your job day in and day out. Even elite and professional athletes who are projectors have a chunk of time each day where they're training, but the rest of the day is spent refueling, recovering, resting, repairing, and maybe studying how to do their sport even better. So there's some movement, there's some physical aspect, yes, but then there's a lot of downtime. Now let's just take a moment to tease apart the difference between producing and creating, because as a projector, there might be aspects of your chart that are highly creative. And so I can think of one client I have right now who is an artist, and a big aspect of her work is to create art. But there's also another aspect of her work that is about teaching others how to create art. So you might have a situation like that where one part of your work is about creating when you're in the flow on your timeline. But then there might be another aspect of it where you are advising or guiding or teaching or coaching somebody else how to do that same thing that you're very skilled at already. So if you're a projector who writes books or produces music, or there's some other creative outlet to your work that produces a tangible outcome, then it's really important to know that it needs to be done in your timing, to your schedule, to your flow, so that you're creating when this energy wants to be expressed through you, not because you have a client or a boss standing over you going, "Is it done yet? Needs to be done by 5 o'clock. Let's go. Let's go." None of that. Okay, number 5, and the one that you may have heard of before, is that you are invited into that role. So let's talk about what that means tangibly. It means that if it's a job, somebody has recognized that you would be good at that particular role, that particular skill that's required, and they have invited you into a job, or somebody has said, "Hey, you should apply for this job because I think you'd be great at it." So they've recognized your skill for that particular role, and they've suggested that you and you specifically go and apply for that role, or work in that particular position within the company or the organization. Now, in a business context, what it might look like, especially if you're brand new to business, is that somebody recognizes something you're particularly skilled at and they go, "Oh, you're so good at that. I wish you could teach me." Notice, I wish there's this want in the other person, and they value you enough that they're willing to pay you. "Oh, you know what? Like, you should do this as a business because I would totally pay you to teach me how to do that thing." Okay, so that's what the language is going to sound like. They have recognized that there is something within you that is gold, and they're pointing you to a job opportunity or a business opportunity, a way for you to use that skill to create value in the marketplace where somebody will value you by paying you money. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful, one of the ways that you can value me and help other projectors find this content is by giving it a thumbs up. That just tells YouTube, "Hey, this content is helpful. I want other people who are searching to solve this same problem to find this video, so you can help me to help more projectors." Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying the video. Now, let's get back to the content. Number 6. I think that's 6 fingers. 6. We're up to 6. Okay, so when you have that role, you continue to be valued and recognized for your work. You'll know that once you're in there, once you've got the job. And what you're looking for is like, do people say thank you? Do they appreciate what I'm doing here? Do I feel valued? Now, anytime you hear the word recognition, just know that it is just a piece of human design jargon that says, how much do they appreciate me? How much do they value my contribution and my guidance as a projector? So please know that it is the recognition that actually feeds us as projectors. And it doesn't matter how much money you make in a workplace. If they don't recognize you, as in they don't value and appreciate you energetically, if they're not saying thank you every day for the contribution that you make in the workplace, that is going to suck the life out of you. So ideally, you're paid well in money and you're paid well in appreciation. And the ideal role is something that has both of those things for you. If it doesn't, you need to find another job or a set of clients that do pay you well and value and appreciate you. Number 7. The right role will see you doing things that you can naturally and easily do every day that you're at work. That is, it's going to rely on where you have definition in your human design chart. That is, which one or more channels do you have defined in your chart? Let's look at an example. If you have the channel of judgment defined, for example, now the channel of judgment it starts in the root and it goes through gate 58 up to gate 18. And this is very good energy for correcting, fixing, improving things. Now, of course, as a projector, it means you're going to guide other people how they can fix and improve and change things to make the whole outcome better for everybody. But if you don't have this defined in your chart, even if you're a projector, you're actually going to find you're not that great at that work. And also that it's not very sustainable or enjoyable for you. The trick is to understand your definition, which will be different to mine and different to many of the other projectors that you might meet along the way. You've got to know your definition so you know your strengths so you can leverage them at work. So look at the defined channels in your chart so you can see what your innate strengths are. And if you don't know a lot about those channels, then do a bit of research so that you can understand what each of those channels mean. Every projector is going to have at least one defined channel, and you may have 2 or 3 or 4, or very occasionally I see projectors with more than that. So look up each and all of your defined channels and use that as a starting point for your strengths that you can leverage in business or in work or in any kind of role where you're creating value in the marketplace and being paid for it. Number 8, the people that you work with feel good to you. If the people that you work with feel good to you, then that is a good hint that you are on the right track with the right kind of work for it to be enjoyable and sustainable for you as a projector. Why is that so important? Well, regardless of how much openness you have in your design, that is how many white centers you have, and you may have up to 7 white centers in your chart as a projector. Our aura plugs into one person at a time, and we literally feed on the energy of the generators and the manifesting generators that make up about 70% of the world. So it is very likely that you're going to have clients or co-workers or a boss or just people that you interact with in your day-to-day work that you're feeding off their energy. And I tell you what, if you're feeding off their energy, it better be like gourmet, nourishing, healthy food, not, a fast food equivalent. People who complain a lot, don't like their work, don't like you, wish they were somewhere else, aren't very emotionally intelligent, this is like junk food for you. It's fast food, it's not healthy, it's not good for you, and it's another way that can lead to burnout as a projector. What is much better is when you have emotionally intelligent, self-aware, conscious humans who are kind, who like their work and are doing the right work for them. Now, I know I've just spoken into a utopia that doesn't quite exist, but think about it as a continuum and look for roles where you're surrounded by more people like this and less people like this, because you're literally going to feed off their energy. And there's no good, bad, right, or wrong about that. That's just how our aura works as projectors. So it's super important that we're mindful of who we're plugging into every day. Number 9, the right role for you is one that will ask of you to use the thing that you are masterful at, or that you are aiming to become masterful at, or you are becoming masterful at. Masterful just means you're really bloody good at it, right? There is one thing that every projector is here to become super masterful at in their lifetime. If you don't know what that is, then that's okay. Take some time to think about, what do I think about all day long? What do I naturally want to study? If somebody could pay me to study, what's the first topic or area of interest that I would gravitate towards? And I would be happy to spend hours every day studying that thing. That's what you're here to be masterful at. And that's what is going to be so valuable to other people that they will pay you to share that wisdom and knowledge with them. Number 10. The ideal role has room for you to grow and evolve and learn and change over time. And you will as a projector, because as projectors, we are so driven to learn, and everything we learn, we will then integrate into that thing we're becoming masterful at, and it will change over time the way that we guide people. So the ideal is a role where there's enough flexibility for you to continue evolving and growing and changing. Please know, as a projector, it is totally okay if you realize you've outgrown a role and there's no more room in there for you to shift and evolve and change. for you to go and look for other opportunities in alignment with your human design, of course, where you can continue to grow and evolve and change. And ideally, it will build on everything that you learned in the last role. So it's a step up in and of itself. But also, ideally, you take that opportunity to get paid or to pay yourself more money as well. Because remember, every time you learn and grow and evolve, you're also more valuable to other people, and you also deserve to be paid more money. As a projector, you are designed to be a really powerful guide for other people. You are energetically built to be able to guide people in such a way that it helps to improve their lives in ways that no other human design type can do. So we have to get underneath all the shoulds, all the have tos, all the musts of all the things that you've been taught that aren't in energetic alignment for you. And when you can do that, you can access a level of wisdom and guidance to support people in a way that can leave them grateful for your contribution. To access this part of you, you have to learn how to really deeply honor and nourish yourself. To be a powerful, healthy, and wealthy projector means getting underneath all of that survival energy to find this astonishingly gifted human being. And to let that part of you drive your life, you have to come back into alignment with the person that you were born to be. And as much as I wish it did, this doesn't happen overnight. It will take time for your mind and body to come into alignment with this way of being. And I know this can be really hard to hear when you need a better way to make money, like yesterday already. So my suggestion is that you take one thing from this video, one thing that really stood out for you, and start applying it to your search for work today. Start making those tiny course corrections, and over time you can layer in more and more of the suggestions from this video so you can continue to use it as a resource to get yourself on the path to enjoyable and sustainable work that is correct and honoring for you as this gifted, intuitive projector. And if you found this video helpful, then please consider if there's another projector you know who is also struggling to find meaningful, enjoyable, sustainable work that you could share this video with now.